So today's video is about people pleasing and expectations, along with perfectionism. And a trigger that I found is mostly due to our upbringing. So, as I said in another instance, basically the system, which is not only the capitalist system. Like, I live in a first world country, but I know that many other countries, or even that are not as capitalistic as ours, I am in Italy, by the way, fall into the same trap, because it's basically the big old samsara. It's like the big illusion, the big wheel of illusion that Buddhism teaches, which is basically the material world. And in order to perpetuate itself, of course, it needs to program, us. And one big way is through parents. Especially when you have broken parents, they are going to pass on generational trauma, which is nothing more than another chain, that is imposed on you. We are much more than what we are led to believe, and of course, this is done. This watering down of our capability of reality, and also our psychology, because this maybe is just a little video about normal psychological events and not going into the metaphysics of it. So basically, the upbringing is, of course, very important, and our parents are just as programmed as we are. But we have the capability to recognize the fact that we have been programmed and try to work on it. And one of the ways in which the system perpetuates itself in the greatest, in the greatest way, is when you have not only trauma, but also people and caregivers who are narcissists, or that have high expectation, especially when you are a very sensitive person, like I am. Basically, you are very much cooked in the company of one of these people, because they are masters at trying, using your empathy, using your capability of feeling things to their advantage, which is basically do their bidding. And as normal, like 101 narcissism, you cannot ever satisfy them, because they are emotional vampires. They have an hunger, they have this void that they do not know how to feel, because they are also lacking introspection, they are lacking awareness of the self, they are lacking connection to the true self, not only to their innermost needs in terms of spiritual and psychological needs, but they are very blind not only to themselves but also to others people feelings. Like, they prey on energy because they are not capable of accessing their own. They're blind. So it's a very horrible conditions to be, but they are often unconscious of that. So their behavior, it's purely predatory, but not completely aware. It's a very surface level predatory. And one thing that I've noticed as a son of a narcissistic mother is that they impose these incredibly high expectations on you. And that's the number one way to which they program you. So if you are or have a narcissistic caregiver, great part of the subtle, because maybe it's not always like very hard trauma, like abuse, like physical and emotional abuse. It's the subtle thing, or at least my mother does this. It's always manipulative feeling, something a web that has been spun like a spider. Okay, it's low. It's something that I see like walking on eggshells. You're always in fight or flight because they are kind of unpredictable. Even when their request is satisfied, which of course cannot be, but like when you do satisfy that particular request, you do not have 100% certainty that the reaction will be positive. And this, of course, primes you to a life of insecurity, especially when you're growing up. You're constantly on the alert because you do not know the reaction, okay? And often, even if you did everything right, is not completely positive because they are completely incapable of being satisfied. But we didn't know that, okay? So one of the first things that I want, and that I applied this to myself, of course I'm still working on it, but that I want you to do, when you recognize that you have dealt or that you are dealing with something like that, is that you are not fully capable of granting their satisfaction, those wishes. You can promise, you can work how much you want, but still these people are not capable of having that satisfaction. They will never find it unless they work on themselves in a much, much more profound way that you, as a very empathic person, are advantaged compared to them, because they are completely blind to the self. They are completely blind to their own emotional balance, if not for the surface level. Okay? So you cannot even fully condemn them. So this was the video for today. Of course, this is the first part. I will talk more about these topics in later posts. See you, and thank you for your attention.